It's a ridiculous thing to put a man and a woman into a house together, share finances, raise kids, sleep together, be family members. The whole thing makes no sense. That if we can kind of bring it back down to the ground, have foundation, have knowledge, have teaching about it, it all starts with ourselves, so loving ourselves, then the world could really be a better place.
Hi, I'm Sarah Schmidt. I'm 52 years old, and I can honestly say that I have never felt better. For the first 50 years of my life, I navigated some pretty fucking hard things that I like to call my Holy Schmidt moments. They include things like being diagnosed with cancer, navigating my sexuality, adopting children, two divorces, losing my dad, and having a biological child in my 40s. After decades of some really, really hard work, I have fallen deeply in love with myself and my life. Turns out that embracing the magic and the expansion that comes with getting older, it isn't a bad place to start. I'm here to prove that life doesn't have to decline with age. In fact, it gets a whole lot better. On Holy Schmidt, we are going to dive into my curiosities around wellness and longevity and mindset, and we are going to do it with really vulnerable, thoughtful conversations with people that I really love and admire. This season, we are going to celebrate and honor growth and transformation and find profound beauty in connection. Welcome to the show. Welcome back to Holy Schmidt. I'm excited for you to meet my friend, Remy Stern. This episode was one of the very first that I recorded for this new season 2. Remy and I talk about all things mindset related. Remy is a coach and the host of her own podcast, You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband. Yeah, the title is super catchy. Remy has such a positive outlook on life in general and is a new mom. Talks about all the things related to balancing her own personal interests and the needs of her family. I hope you enjoy getting to know Remy and this conversation that we have together. Yay!
Hello. I'm so
Hi,
happy
Remy.
to be doing another interview with you. Hello.
I'm happy to see you too. It's been, I don't know how many weeks, like maybe 6 weeks?
Months. Definitely longer. Definitely longer. Because the interview, so I had the pleasure of hosting you on my podcast. And it was actually the first interview that I did. I'm pregnant, and I thought that I was going to easily take my podcast through, pregnancy, man plans, God laughs.
Yeah.
Did not happen. I was so sick. I couldn't sit here for this long. I would have been running away. So it was a hard decision, but I paused my podcast. And then I was like, you know what? I'm starting to feel better. I must get back in here. And the first interview I had was with you, Sarah. So it's I know that it was like maybe beginning or middle of September, and here we are. So I'm so excited. Good to see you.
You're pregnant with baby number 2. And when is baby number 2 expected to arrive?
March 12th is the date. And we're very excited. It's fun. It's fun. It's part of the journeys of being a woman in life, miracle of bringing life into this world. Wow.
Yeah. But it's also like a big deal. And it's, and you have to give up control of a lot of things. And you never quite know what the day will bring and how you'll feel and where your energy will be at.
It's the most true thing ever. It's so funny. I'll get into a stage in my life where I'm like, I got this. Like, I have got this thing down. I know what my morning looks like. I know what the middle of my day looks like. I know I have got this routine down. And the minute I feel like I got it down, something switches. Either my daughter goes from 2 naps to 1 nap and everything gets messed up, or I go from not being pregnant to being pregnant. And so it's been the best and most brilliant test to just leaning back and doing what you can, of course, making the necessary changes when you can, but also accepting and flowing and growing with it. And you just see oftentimes the way we plan it actually isn't the best way to do things. And I think it actually teaches you patience and being like, whatever is meant to be is supposed to come into fruition. I am so ready and excited and grateful, and I can flow with the times. And I like to think of it, I'm kind of going with 2 thoughts here of whether or not your calendar and everything's changing versus watching things come into fruition in your life, but it's almost in life like planting a garden, doing what you can, showing up, watering it, putting in sunlight, doing all the things. But then in general, you just kind of have to sit back and
Yeah.
then wait for the flower to grow the roots first,
You
which
gotta
you
let it
can't
go.
see.
Yeah.
And then so yes, it's a big,
Yeah.
big journey of letting go and riding this wave of life.
Yeah. Well, it's really great to connect with you again. And it's funny because the podcast that we did, it was your first of since coming back. It was the first podcast I recorded where I was a guest on someone else's podcast. And
No.
I was so nervous. I'd never done it before. So I'm doing something I've never done before. And I had a lot of anxiety about it. I didn't quite know how it was going to go. And we didn't really go through a whole list of questions and things that we were going to talk about. So I just was trying to show up as my most authentic self and see where it went. And you were so gracious in the way you just invited me in. And I felt like I got to know you in such a beautiful way, and you allowed me to be me. And I mean, one of the gifts of these podcasts, which, I didn't expect, was the relationships that I would start to form, between cameras.
Mm-hmm. It's everything. It was a question mark for me of whether or not I was going to bring it back. Because I was like, okay, great, I'll bring it back for this many months. And then most likely when I give birth, the next week I won't be filming a podcast, right? So do I bring it back for a little bit?
Yeah.
And the reason I did, honestly, was, in my opinion, God put enough people in my life to be like, I'm begging you, please, like I want a few more episodes. And I realized through that, they were like, we love it, thank you for it. I'm like, no, it's such a blessing for me to be able to sit next to people or talk to them through Zoom and build these relationships with brilliant human beings who are disrupting the world and bringing in information and topics and just ways of looking. Like, it is such a pleasure to to do this thing called podcasting because of that. So yes, I'm super grateful to be here and doing this with you.
Tell us a little bit about who you are, how you think about yourself in the world, and how you came to coaching and podcasting.
Love it. So probably the quickest way for me to answer that in like one sentence is actually my hardships turned into my greatest opportunities for growth. And so I am somebody who has just lived life. I've been through challenges in life. And for whatever force brought this into my life, I would experience a challenge and I would say, how am I going to overcome this? And not only overcome it, but like conquer it. Like, the challenge gets taken outside of me. It's like, this is happening in my life. Great. I don't want it to define me, to consume me, to make me go down into a dark hole. I want to take it, let it help me learn, help me grow, help me to connect to something greater, connect to myself, and actually make my life better. And I remember as a kid thinking of it like going to a gym, and I was like, this is really hard what I'm doing. My family's very into working out, and I visualize a lot of things, whether it's nature. My family's California, Colorado, like nature places. Somehow I live in Manhattan, which is like negative nature, but we love it. But I would see these challenges as, this is hard to actually serve me. And I know there's something greater here making me go on my path of learning and growing, and I'm going to get somewhere from this. So it never felt like, of course there's moments where you're overwhelmed and it feels like life's like devouring you, but I had this energy. So through my hardships, through my own discovery in my hardships, discovering myself, discovering how other people reacted to this, I was able to look back and be like, whoa, I learned from so many brilliant, like amazing, wise people in the world. So this doesn't necessarily come from me. It's really more of a pursuit of knowledge and all of the good stuff. Yeah. So once I kind of was like, hey, I think I've got some things down here, and I'm a student of life. I'm learning, and I see other people out in the world who are yearning for it, but kind of don't know where to begin. Can I package all of these little nuggets of awesomeness that have actually helped me in my own life? So I know they work. It's not just some crazy thing out in the clouds. Like, it actually works, with so much knowledge that I have been given from so many different sources, so many different people, and can I lead other people through it? And so my hardest point in my life, my lowest point, I was like, this is not how I want to feel. This is not what I want my life to look like. I need a change. What happens? The minute I opened up to the universe and said, time for a change, a life coach dropped right in, met my life coach. 6 weeks later, I met my husband. I got a new job. Like a lot of things just started to like visibly change in my life. And she changed my life. And then since then, it's just been this beautiful upward spiral. And that's when I said, you know what? I think I have this gift. I'm going to turn around, and thank God I have been able to coach hundreds and hundreds of women through one-on-one coaching, through these massive group programs that I've done, so many different avenues through the podcast. And podcast really just came about. Actually, I was writing a book proposal, and I sent it to a friend who was like super excited about it. Somehow she was with her friend who's a podcast producer. He heard it and called me and said, you need to make this into a podcast, at least first.
That's cool.
So
Very
that's where
cool.
that came from.
Can we sit with that moment? And I call those my Holy Schmidt moments. You know, season 1 of my podcast was all about those moments in my life that were the tough, good, beautiful moments that led me to discover some really profound truths and ultimately shifted me in big ways. I'd love to visit one of your Holy Schmidt moments, because I think the gift we could give anybody listening today is helping people see that you can mine some gold out of these tough times, and that there's really something there that we're supposed to learn. And those learnings are going to lead us into a good place. I'm wondering if you want to go there with me today.
Would absolutely love to. First of all, I'm an open book, so ask me anything. And the Holy Schmidt
I know you've
moment,
already talked about a lot of your Holy Schmidt moments. So,
yes,
but I
yes,
want to invite you just to pick one.
Mhm.
One moment in your life that you feel like was really instrumental in helping you learn something pretty significant about yourself and the world. And tell us about that moment.
So like you said, there's so many, and I find that there's like the little micro moments, which really are the ones that the ones you least expect, right? If someone just like says something to you in the right way, that you hear it in that moment and you're like, wait, everything just changed in my life. For example, I had just gotten this life coach, and then I had this one specific friend who was like, hey, you'd be a good life coach, blah, 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 and went on with her day. But like she wasn't thinking about it, and in that moment, this was 6 years ago, before COVID, everything changed. So there's little micro moments that I can kind of follow throughout my life. And I'm like, that's really cool. And as you start noticing them, you can see them moving forward. You're like, whatever that person said, whatever action they just did, just changed my life. But if we're going to take it back to probably the biggest Holy Schmidt in my life, it would have to be, and it's one of those things that, first of all, if you don't experience it, you might not understand how difficult it can be. But my parents' divorce and watching a marriage crumble was the beginning of my journey, let's say. And sure, there are things before it, and even before the actual separation and the divorce, there were unknown things to the outside world that were happening on the inside that I was aware of, and holding that in, keeping that, trying to be the person on the inside being like, I can fix this, at 9, 10, 11 years old, like, we got this. I can fix this. I know enough to be like, Dad, you're great. I love you. Stay home. Like, all is well. Mom, look the other way. All is well. Like, we're a perfect little family. Sister, like, la, 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 we're good. And so those tools, although they were harmful at times as well, because obviously you can't be the one to control life and be the people pleaser and this and that. Like, obviously that doesn't work, but I was able to turn them into a very effective thing, which is to see maybe challenges and obstacles and be like, let's shift this into a way that can better everyone, like I've said. So my parents' divorce, they split up. At the same time, I had been dating someone for a very long time, and that relationship during that time broke up. And it left me like a blank slate, which was so scary, so confusing. It really, the best way to describe it was, your parents are the ground beneath your feet, right? They're the reason you come into this world. They keep you alive for all those years. And It's all you know. You don't know the world before mom and dad were together. So for a little kid who witnesses that breakage per se,
Yeah.
it is very hard. And there's ways that you can do it, consciously on parenting. I really think that there's like new ways, and divorce is there for a reason. Absolutely. It shouldn't be a no divorce life, but it is very painful for children and for the parents, obviously, going through it. So it took me on this journey of not only like, what is this marriage thing? Because then I would see my other friends whose parents were going through divorces, and I was like, they are in pain. They are experiencing, traumas in their way. Like, if quote unquote 50% of the population is getting divorced, that is a lot of people who are in pain. And what if, and in my opinion, the home is really like the center of everything. And if we can get the home, and it's kind of a Jewish idea, which I found Judaism during this time, and that has been a huge spiritual avenue for me. But if we can make the home an extremely loving, happy, strong place, whatever that looks like, if it means that conscious uncoupling has to happen for family, but to do it in a loving together way, then I think we're going to build a group of people who are stronger. And if we build a group of people who are stronger, who know to love themselves, to know then the next step, how to find love, but like, what is this thing we're looking for? When we're looking for like our partner for life, what are we looking for? And then how to be with that partner for life, because it's a ridiculous thing to put a man and a woman into a house together, share finances, raise kids, sleep together, but also like be family members. Like, the whole thing makes no sense. That if we can kind of bring it back down to the ground, have foundation, have knowledge, have teaching about it, but in the end of the day, it all starts with ourselves. So loving ourselves, then the world could really be a better place.
Yeah. I mean, for so many people, divorce, and so many people experience it either in their family of origin or, later in life. I mean, it's really traumatic, the loss of what we thought was, a certain loss of safety, security. I mean, there's just an enormous amount of fear underneath that all. And, so I think, yeah, that's a really big Holy Schmidt moment.
For sure. And the irony then is I'm married obviously now, and like now being married has been one of my biggest Holy Schmidts. I love my husband more than anything. Thank God, he's the best. I'm so grateful to be married to him. But the not but and
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 I knew you were going to do that. Actually, I knew you were going to correct that.
Being in a relationship, and all relationships boil down to your relationship with yourself. So that's the first one you have to look at always. But it really triggers so many things inside of you. And it starts with being alone, the single process, right? You go through this whole dating process, and it's not meant to be easy. Yes, there's times it's really fun. Yes, there's times it's extremely lonely to, go to bed alone every single night. And people will find themselves like, desperate isn't the right word, but like wanting to be with someone immediately. And like, that time is difficult, and it triggers things inside of you and opens up things that you have to learn about and nurture and grow in that sense. And then the irony of it is when they meet their partner, when they meet their person, everyone's like, I'm so excited to like finally find my person and get married. Oh my God, that just opens up the next major can of worms. Like, it's no walk in the park. My husband makes a joke. I think it's Seinfeld says, like, when you get married, then you enter Afghanistan. I know that like sounds horrible, but it's like, then the real stuff happens. And it is a beautiful, crazy experience to be married, but you have to look at yourself a lot of the times. And that is scary and hard.
Yeah.
And then not only that, you're looking at yourself while you are doing it with another person and having to communicate. As we all know, communication is key. And so many other things. So there are tools that, thank God, I've been given that I love to share with people. But without them, it's very difficult to do it alone.
Yeah. When you reached out to that coach, you said it was one of the darkest times in your life. How do you feel like your parents' divorce was still rippling and triggering you? That was, maybe contributing also to that time.
Oh, easy peasy. So their story is a unique one to them. They split up for 10 years. They were like on and off. And this was in those 10 years. Oddly enough, the day I got engaged was the day my parents said, we're going to actually get a divorce. And then like the day I got married, I think the divorce was like finally just as that, then the divorce really begins. And again, it's okay. There is definitely a grieving process to it. And there are more than enough times that I'm like, I wish this weren't the case. I wish my parents could be in the same room and everyone could be happy and everyone could be good. But like, that's not where we're at, and it's okay. But the hardest time in my life was, I'm gonna say that lightly, because like, of course there's also like lightness to it. Like, but it felt very dark and consuming at the time. Yeah. There was a lot of confusion in the place that's supposed to be my safety spot, like you said. Yeah. And it just felt like I was trying to figure out life. I recently-ish graduated college. You get thrown into the real world. You start working. And I just think that transition is a hysterical transition, if you ask me. But you go from like your whole life you're in school, and like school's challenging, of course. But like in college, you choose your classes, you choose your professors, you're like learning what you want to learn. Yeah, you have to write an essay once in a while and there's exams. But like all of a sudden you enter work, you're in an office from 8 a.m. till 6, 7 p.m. if you're lucky. You're having to write essays not once a week, all day long. You're having to sit and write these emails, and you're like focusing, and your time is not your own anymore. Little do you know that when you have a kid, your time really isn't your own. But your time no longer is your own. If you don't like what you're doing, you are in big trouble, because that is a lot of hours a day, many days a week that you aren't happy. So that's where I found myself. My home life was a mess, and I was the one who was the picker up of the pieces. So dad would call me to vent, and I would give the advice. And then mom would call me to vent about the same thing. I'd give the advice. I'd say, hey, call her, say this. I'd say, hey, call him, say this. I would be the everything sister, all is well, don't look at it. Like from 9 years old until I got married, then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna hop out of the seat for a hot second. Like, I'm gonna let you guys try to figure it out. I have to say it crumbled and burned a little bit more, but it was inevitable. So in this time, I was trying to build myself, become my own person with an extremely unstable ground, and did not like what I was doing in my quote unquote 9 to 5, but I definitely was there for way more hours than 9 to 5. I wish it were 9 to 5. So I'd wake up in the morning with these tears in my eyes. Like, I don't have the energy to go about my day. Like, I don't have the fuel. Like, I didn't gas up my car to go into this day. At that time, I used eating as like the fuel per se. Mm-hmm. I felt bad about myself. All of a sudden, like this energy started to be smelt on me, for lack of a better term. Like you just felt this like lack energy. And I was out there dating, and I was being rejected by guys. And I was like, oh, I really wish a guy would like me so that I could like myself, so that they would like me more. And like the whole thing made no sense. It was completely backwards. And lo and behold, I started to eat to make me feel better. But I didn't. It was very momentary. So I started to gain some weight, which made me feel worse, which made people less interested in being with me, which made me feel even worse. So I'd eat. And it was just this horrible downward spiral. And the life coach met me when I was like at the bottom of the downward spiral. I was being rejected by everything in life. Like it just felt like I wanted to be at this level, but the universe was giving me this, because guess what? I was living at this level, the lower level, and you get what you are, not what you want. So I was getting what I was. Really wanting to receive something different in my life. I was really wanting to receive a relationship with myself, with another, that didn't look like my parents. Mm-hmm. And at this point, I was going to therapy for many, many years and talking about it. But I was like, but I want to change something. I don't want to just keep talking about the fact that my parents messed me up and I'm here and my life kind of sucks. Like, I want to change something. That's when the life coach came. She said, we need to cleanse your life. Anything that's holding you down, any muck, any clutter in your life, they say you can't bring in the new furniture till you get rid of the old. We worked on getting rid of the old furniture. Voila, the new furniture came flying right in.
That's really a powerful, it's a powerful story. And I also don't want people to think that it's magic, because the process of actually letting go of the things that are not serving us is a lot more complicated than moving furniture out, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. There were things that I had to move out of my life that were extremely close to me.
Yeah.
And I feel like the kind of mainstream word for it is creating certain boundaries in your life. Like I said, for example, I realized, and at this point I started to do it. It became more apparent later in my life, but I realized that I couldn't be the emotional support for both my parents and my sister and
Yeah.
myself and the this and the that. And to create a boundary like that is getting rid of some muck in your life. And it's so hard to admit when like people you love can be considered in a way muck, because like they're
Yeah.
not. But actually the way that I describe it now is not boundaries. I say I want to live in a beautiful bubble that's mine, and I walk around with it and I fill it up. So I actively every single day make efforts to fill up my bubble, to make it light, happy, bright, exactly the like environment I want to live in. So I know for myself, outdoors, not non-negotiable all day long. Like get outside, get to
Yeah.
Central Park, nature, movement, time with my daughter, some time to like focus on work stuff, some social, like I know the things that make me feel really good. So to make my bubble the happiest place possible, I actively fill it up. And if anything starts to come into it that is bringing dirty feet and making it not as, beautiful as I wanted, of course, is there the possibility that I can help clean it? Maybe. I mean, that's literally my career, is to help people like clean up their lives and organize it and go live the life they actually want to live. But the minute that it's starting to really pollute my bubble in the most loving, caring, giving fashion, I just slowly put it right outside. And it can be energetically. There's times where I have to shut my ears, which like, it happens, where if there's something I can't be like, stop talking to me about this, I'll just be like, sing a song in my head till it's over and be like, oh, wow, that's so interesting. Okay, I love you. I have to run and do this. I'll call you back later. So there's just ways to, and it's not easy. Oh my gosh, it's a whole process. That's why I lead people through a 4-month process to do it.
I'm
But when you do
wondering,
it,
when you think about that process in your own life, there's the intellectual piece that you're describing. This is what I had to do, and here's some of the images. Can you talk a little bit about the feeling state, what it felt like in your body, to actually have to make those choices, those hard choices, to set those boundaries, to put some limits in your life, to say no to some things?
So the honest truth, and I'm sure there's been times where it is more of a push-pull to get rid of it. But in this specific moment that we're talking about, when I decided I need to cleanse everything in my life, it was actually more empowering and easier than doing what I was doing before. I had felt so weighed down. It was as if I was holding a backpack of 10 trillion like rocks, and I was holding myself down. I was trying to climb up a mountain with a bag of rocks on my back. And when it hit me, and it has to hit you at the right time in the right place, like, and there, again, there's tools to do this. But when I was able to put that back down and be like, no, I'm walking up the mountain without everybody else's, baggage. Like I'm going to do this myself. Of course, the feeling of it, there were moments that it was tough, but it felt so right that like that energy pushed me upwards. And there's moments it doesn't feel right, and you have to honor that and be like, okay, I guess maybe right now it might even not be the moment for me to create this boundary. I have to learn something about myself in order to unveil something. And then once I do that, I can learn how to build the boundary there. Like I also found that the pendulum swings. If you're the type of person who overgives yourself to people, and people pleaser, if you want to put it under that, if you're going to try to create some boundaries, typically your pendulum will swing super far the other way, and you're going to hit the point where you're like, no, you can't do this, like the hard nose.
Yeah.
And I definitely fell into that. I'm very grateful that it was a pretty quick stint. I caught myself not feeling good when I was too rigid about it. Then you swing the pendulum somewhere in the middle where it feels good, where you can give love to others, but also protect yourself.
Yeah. I would bet that during this time that you also really discovered not just the things that don't feel right, that didn't belong in your bubble, but you also really discovered things that really light you up. Because when I find, and I've seen this happen in my own life and others, is when you let go of things that do not serve you, you make space for the things that really do align. Can you talk a little bit about what it was like? You talked about meeting your husband, but what did you find that you created some space, and what filled that space in you?
Fabulous. So exactly back to the like, you can't bring in the new furniture till you get rid of the old. Way too often, people want to bring in new furniture, but are not willing to let go of the olds.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, it is hard to let go of things that have been a safety blanket for you and have provided something for you up until now. It's been some sort of maybe coping mechanism or crutch in some way. So it is hard to let go of things that don't serve you. But as I did this, there were relationships I had to let go of. And it's hard. It really is. But again, at that time, it felt so right that it felt empowering. Like I had the energy. The energy was going in the right direction. But there are times it doesn't feel that way. It feels like much more painful to let go of something. But there's a lot of cliches you can say in the world that really have truth to them. You close one door so the next one can open. Like it needs to happen. So at the time for me, I cleansed even little silly things in my life. Like I realized social media at the time was not serving me. I would, at the end of the day, after, eating all of this food, when I say eating, I mean like bagel, chips, cookies, pizza, like just things that were like not filling up my stomach, but filling up holes in me. Now I had a bagel for breakfast. I love it, but it's out of a place of excitement for it, not, needing something to fill my holes.
Right.
So first I would get home at the end of the day, I'd look at social media and I'd be like, they all have it figured out and I don't, so there must be something wrong with me. That wasn't serving me. No. So at the time, I deleted social media. I think it was for almost 2 years. So that was really fun. I wish I could go back there, even though love you guys in my community on there. It was so nice. So social media, food, I actually cleansed dating. I said, anybody I have been dating in the recent years or past or whatever, I'm cutting ties, which is so scary because you're like, but what if, I don't know, like I can potentially string this one along. No, cut ties. And then I cut ties with any dates moving forward. I was like, I don't want to meet my person while I feel this way. I don't feel good. Why would I want to walk in the room and be like, oh, I hope someone likes me here? And like, that's when I meet my husband. No, I want to walk in with my arms back, my heart out, my hair blowing, open the door, and the guy turns and goes, like right out of a movie. That's my wife, right? So I stopped dating. And other friendships in my life had to like pan out the way that they did.
Yeah.
And the minute I let go of all of this, it's literally like so crazy that to the day, one thing that changed, I got this new job that opened up every opportunity for me in the world and was just so much fun. Like, what a time in my life. And that really led me into my life coaching, which has been my second baby in the world, like the best thing ever to me. So my life coaching business opened up, my marriage, new friendships, the best way to describe it is upward spiral. Like one thing leads to the next, which leads to the next. And it's just, you follow it. And it's up and down, we got some up and down going up, but you're going up.
You made a lot of hard choices that I know people who are listening are struggling with. I mean, to let go of social media for 2 years, for some people, that is a lifeline to what feels like a community. And yet, we all know what real felt community is. But, if you're experiencing a lot of loneliness or alienation from yourself, social media can be very soothing. To choose not to date because you're not in the best place to do so, that's really brave. That's a really brave choice. And I would guess that in a lot of the coaching relationships that you have now, you experience people really struggling with making those really hard choices. I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about kind of what you see with your coaching clients and what are some of the most, kind of challenging things that they're working through. And let's just start there. Yeah. What do you
Fabulous. See? Love this question so much because it's the first place I make each client of mine has their own journey they have to go through. So it's very personalized to each person, but I will always start at the exact same place, which is you have to get rid of the old furniture to bring in the new. They all know this. I have a really amazing process that leads you into this, but that is the first place we are going to start. So first of all, just on the social media thing, muting people who don't feel good, like tapping into your body, seeing what feels good is the best thing in the entire world. And it is a skill, so you have to practice it. But being like, okay, when I look at this, does this feel good or bad? That's it. Simple. Good or bad, good or bad. If it's bringing any type of ickiness inside, mute. You can always unmute. You unfollow. I'm like all for the unfollow. Mute, unfollow. I also would do something where before I deleted social media, and this was even before, I would delete the app from Friday night to Saturday night, which coincides with Shabbat, a Jewish thing.
Yeah.
So I would delete it for a day. Even that, just like then you're like sitting in a taxi and staring out the window instead of checking your phone for 25 hours. You could do it. Like it's not easy things, but when you see, and this is what's very cool with coaching and what I do with my clients, when you see the potential of where you can go and what it's going to take with these small little steps, because these little hinges swing massive big doors. But when you see it and you really feel it, right, which is something that we make sure happens in our coaching, is you get so ridiculously connected and close to the version of yourself who has everything you want. You see her, you feel her, you understand her, you hear her thoughts, you start walking as her, talking as her. Those little things, they don't bug you anymore. Like you're like, I don't want the social media, So the first place I start with all of my clients is what in your life is not serving you. If I'm going to be honest, typically dating apps are the biggest thing. I get in bed, I swipe left, I swipe right. All I'm thinking is there's no good guys out there or nobody's swiping right for me, which means that there's something wrong with me. And I'm talking to all these guys, they're not taking me on dates. And, it's there's a lot of good in them, but if anything in your life is depleting you or draining you, can you cut it out? Can you minimize it? And then what do? Add in things that really give you energy, that fill you up. So the first place I start with all of them, there's typically family stuff too. My mom calls me, she puts pressure on me a lot. My parents are fighting. When I go home, it suffocates me. Like there's so many different things. I'm going to boast. I have thank God I sit here and I can't even explain to you how happy this makes me. So I have so many clients who are now in the most incredible space in life. I'm going to just give one example because I just went to this event that she hosted this week. 5 months ago, exactly, this client of mine came to me, not in a good place in life, right? Just at one of her lows, right? And if I'm going to be completely frank, my prices for my coaching, it's not cheap. So if you're doing it, you're in a place where you're giving it your all, right? So she was like, I'm here, I'm there. And if it's something that's worth it to you, you find a way to do it. She was giving it her all. She had a handful of things to let go of in her life that were not easy. Pendulum definitely swung one way to the next. We did a lot of work. One thing is that she realized that her soul wasn't being lit up. Nothing in her life was giving her that spark of joy. Showing up to work every day, dates, blah, blah, blah. Nothing panning out. Maybe she's excited by one guy, then he doesn't like her. Maybe opposite, a guy is texting her. She's like, oh, that's the guy who's texting me. I don't like him. And we did certain things. One specific one being lighting up something that matters a lot to her in the world and being an advocate for a cause that she cares a lot about. And she found that in her workplace, they were actually making it worse for her. And so she built this whole program outside of her office, because she's like, but I work in this company, I can't get a new one. We're like, let's build something on the side. It sounds so little that it's a little passion project, but she was so passionate about it. So she's building it, she's growing. Of course, there's up and downs. And I'll just cut to the end. But I went to her, was it second or third event? And mind you, this is 4.5, 5 months. How crazy that your life can change completely in 4.5, 5 months. She met someone through doing this work. He has a sibling organization per se. I was going to say sister, but really, I guess brother, because it's his. And they hosted the event together this past week. And I have chills all over. Such a power couple up on the stage. He was moderating the panel. She was hosting the event. They had, camera crew and this whole thing. And she was just so in her space. And she met somebody, because when you connect to your soul, you meet your soulmate.
Yeah.
And the same day the event happened, she got a job offer. She wanted so badly to work specifically in beauty. She worked in tech finance, something so different. She got literally my dream job in the beauty world, good for her. And just everything changed. Her family dynamics changed. She is so much happier with them. And I can go on and on of how this works. So if you connect to what you can achieve and receive, when you do these steps, it's easy, honestly. Of
Yeah.
course, it's hard, but it's like,
Well,
working.
what I hear you saying is, I mean, it is hard, but what you found was this sense of satisfaction in doing the hard thing. And that's joyful, you know. And
Absolutely.
I think the misconception is that it's supposed to happen really fast, you know? And I mean, for some people it does, but sometimes the letting go takes, a little longer and we have to do it in baby steps, or, you know, and sometimes tuning into the feelings is really hard too. So we might be doing the work, but not actually feeling the impact that it's having on us. So staying aligned and connected to yourself while you're doing all these things. I mean, it's a beautiful process that you're describing.
Thank you. I mean, I'm like madly in love with it just because I get to do
Yeah.
it over and over and over again and see the results. So it's not even like it kind of works. It like really works at this point.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. And it's kind of the idea of like going to the gym is hard, but so is not feeling your best. So which hard do you choose?
Yeah.
Choose with marriage, like marriage is hard, but so is divorce. Which hard do you choose? Like there's
Yeah.
certain things in life that are hard, like stopping social media, but also being on social media is hard. So which one do you choose?
Yeah.
And I guess when people are coming to me, they finally are deciding that they want to choose the hard that's going to make them the best version of
Right.
themselves.
Yeah.
So it carries you, it gives you that fulfillment. And when you're in that space in life, every single miracle and abundance unfolds. And like you said, you have to have the patience. Going back to the beginning,
Yeah.
you plant the seed, you water it, you do all the steps, and then you have to trust that first, most important, the
Mhm.
roots are growing deep. Like that is if
Yeah.
there's not deep roots, a flower cannot last for very long.
Yeah.
So if anything, you don't want to see it yet. You want to know that the roots are growing
Yeah.
deeper and deeper and deeper. And then with your patience, with your care, with your love, a beautiful flower
Yeah.
arises.
If somebody's listening today that's really struggling, and they're hearing you talk about this process, and it can be, it can happen in 5-6 months, but it's not happening. And, they're really struggling. Or if you can think back to your own even moments in the last 5 years, since things have started to turn around for you and you are feeling good, but I know there's still hard days.
Oh, yeah.
What are the, 2 or 3 things that you, Remy, come back to every day that kind of help you keep this perspective on this process that is important?
Amazing. Great question. I'll keep it to 2 to 3. I'll do my
Oh,
absolute best. Well, first of all, the process that, I do with my clients, because of course, I'm not going to say it's 100% success rate because it's a 4-month program at the end of 4 months,
yeah,
you meet
I
your
know.
person. I have no idea. I'm not God. Like I can't tell you exactly what's going to happen, but I can give you a crystal ball and say to you that if you have a specific desire, it will happen perfectly the way it should. So I'm giving you a crystal ball and what you want is happening. Up until it happens, do you want to be miserable in your life and so upset you don't have it yet? Or can you let go, be excited for it to come, and really enjoy your life? Like be so happy. And the more you can connect to excitement for what you want in your life and be like, oh, I can't wait till it happens. And until then, let me go be happy, but it's there, whatever, you can call it a mantra or whatever you want to call it. But like that excitement towards what you want versus
Mhm.
anger and upset and frustration that you don't have it yet. Like, what do you think the universe, who out of 2 people, who would the universe want to give the gift to? The one who is so excited to get it or the one that's pissed at the universe for not giving to it yet?
Right.
Obviously, it's going to choose and I call it the grateful guest. It's the guest who comes into the house and is like, oh my God, you gave me the comfiest bed. Thank you so much. And you even left pajamas out. Oh, you're the best. And dancing around the house and
Yeah.
playing music. Like, you want that guest back and you want to give them more. The guest who comes in is like,
Right.
schlepping around with like pajamas they don't like, they're like upset. Like, you don't want to give that guest more. If you can connect every single day to the version of yourself who has everything you want. If
Mhm.
you can step into that version, even think as that version, think like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm so happy I get to go home to my partner every day, or I'm so excited to buy that dream house of mine, or I'm so excited for my parents to come together and be friends again. And like, even it could be the thing of fake it till you make it, but it's believe it till you see it. Like really feel it in your bones. Wake up every single day. And I whether or not I get to my hour-long meditation, which are my favorite things in the entire world, but I literally every single morning, first, before I open my eyes, I say a Jewish prayer that says, thank you so much for this day. Thank you for blowing my soul back into my body. Because it's such a cool thing to wake up. Like you've just been kind of like gone for many hours. And then like you just get your spark back. It's super
And
cool.
it's a new day.
It's a new day. And you're not going to live. Honestly, I think this morning I woke up with anxiety, if I could remember correctly. And I think I had to like shake it off for many hours in the morning. But I ask myself every morning, who do I want to be today? Like, let me think of the version of myself who, is living in the dream, like the things that I want. What is she up to? Pretend I'm her. See myself walk through the day as her. Okay, great. Feel like her. Feel. Think like her. Okay, now I'm ready to open my eyes. Like connecting to that joy, that fullness of life, that fulfillment. And I realize that what I'm saying, if you don't have the tools and like don't know this stuff quite yet, which there's so much on this. I could go on and people to study and books to read and podcasts and it's hard to do this stuff, but just really closing your eyes and imagining your dream life, feeling what that feels like, seeing what that version of yourself is doing, because she has the answers. If she's getting up in the morning, going straight to a workout, getting a healthy breakfast, going to meet friends, working on a project, if she's doing those things and you're not, that's where the gap is.
Right.
Bring yourself closer to her and you will get her life or him, whoever you're talking to. I work with women, so that's why I say her typically.
I love the visualization that you are speaking about, because it's really inhabiting that dream that you have. It's you're talking about manifesting and your way of doing it, but living as if, choosing your future. And I think a lot of us, or a lot of people, can lose track of the fact that we actually do have choice in these small things, and that it is in the small things, right, that we create the biggest opportunities.
Absolutely. And I think on top of that, it's my favorite part is then leaving the house. And and of course it's not all day long. I want to preface that a million times.
I know you're a mom and
of course. Oh my God. I have my crazy moments all day long, but pretending to even be this version of myself in the streets, because I am her. I'm the most confident, big, loving, beautiful. Like if I decide I'm her, I can be her. And then the second portion to this, and I know this doesn't answer your question in like such a tangible way,
it's okay,
but in my own faith and belief system, I really do see that everything is given to me as a gift. And so I see that whether it's literally waking up in the morning or those like little giggles and hugs from my daughter, or being able to call my mom, thank God, and my dad and my sister on the way to drop off my daughter and, FaceTime them and they can say, have a good day to her. Like any of those gifts are gifts from something. Like I don't automatically just get them. I'm so blessed to be given those gifts. And then on the flip side, the harder moments, the anxiety I feel, the being rejected by something you would have wanted, or any the divorce, the breakup, anything that's hard, I literally turn and the same way I said, thank you, God, that I was able to call my parents, like, thank God for this hardship. And it just lets me face life being like, I see you and I see there's something that's coming from this. So like, what could it be? Let me be curious and inquisitive. Let me feel the emotions. Let me feel sick to my stomach from the emotions. But then let me say, okay, now it's time to step forward, move on, grow from this, learn. And something good always comes from it. Like if you think it's good, it will be good. And this was good.
It's such a beautiful perspective, Remy. And I just want to pause there and acknowledge that the choice that you make every day to choose this optimism about what is in your life, regardless of what it is, and this choice to believe that it is going to serve you in the way it needs to serve you. It takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of bravery. And I see you really walking the talk. And I'm guessing that's what your clients also see when they work with you.
Thank you. It's definitely a process, and I feel very grateful. And that's why I say all of this comes from my hardships. Like I would not live this way at all without the beginning first part of the hardships. So I
Right.
actually am grateful for them because this is the way I do think God lived my life. And yes, you have to lead by example. It's do as I do, don't do as I say. So
Yeah.
whether it's for my daughter, whether it's for my clients, if I say, hey, go be happy and I'm miserable,
Yeah.
it's not going to work. They're going to do as I
No.
do. So I genuinely do try my absolute best. And I feel very grateful that I am able to walk the talk as much as
Yeah.
possible and just fall madly in love with this one life that I've been given. Like, how much fun is it to be madly, madly in love with your life? And then from that place, it becomes way easier and more fun to be madly in love with another person, which
Yeah.
brings me back to being married. It's like it comes back to yourself. So if I'm not madly in love with myself, I'm not madly in love with my life, what makes me think that this one human being is going to make me feel that magic madly in
Right.
love? He's
Right.
not. It starts with yourself. It starts with your life. That starts in being alone at some point,
Mm.
and it really carries you into loving your life, which to me is everything.
Remy, it's been such a gift to sit and talk with you and just be in your energy today. I want to thank you so much.
You are so incredible. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you. I,
you.
I feel like we could do like 100 of these.
We probably
We're
could.
two down, 100 to go.
Tell if someone wants to find you and learn more about what you do in the world, your coaching in particular, where should they go?
So Levy by Remy is my Instagram and my coaching business. It's Levvi by BY Remy Remi. So Levy by Remy on Instagram, levybyremy.com. And I have my podcast, You're Allowed to Hate Your Husband, a modern day love story, on Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. So go check it out. It's really fun. My husband does it with me. So you can see him. He's crazy and exciting and fun. And honestly, I learned everything I know because of him, the most optimistic person ever. So
Oh,
reach out to me, even if you just DM me. I'm here. I love talking to people. So
that's so great. Thank you, Remy. Thank you for
thank
the
you
good
so
work you're
much.
doing in the world.
Thank you.